الرانكينج لهذه الجامعات. فمستر أشوين هو المدير الإقليمي لهذه المؤسسة، وهو مسؤول عن ملف الشرق الأوسط وأفريقيا وآسيا، وهيكون معانا النهارده هيتكلم معانا عن الكيو اس وهاو بيعملوا الرانكينج.
Dr. Alan, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. I was just chatting, introducing you. Sorry if there are any glitches. Zoom doesn't seem to be fit today. And we will listen to Mr. Ashwin. بعدين هنسمع الدكتور علاء عبد الباري، الأستاذ الدكتور علاء عبد الباري، نائب رئيس الأكاديمية العربية للنقل البحري للعلوم والتكنولوجيا والنقل البحري وللدراسات العليا والبحث العلمي. وبس احنا هناخد أشوين الأول لأنه عنده الساعة 10:30 بالليل، فبنحاول ما نسهروش كتير. وكمان هو هيتكلم بسرعة يعني، فمعلش دكتور علاء هتسمح لنا بعد إذنك. وهنبدأ مع أشوين دلوقتي. أنا هعمل بس كمان unmute لدكتور علاء لو حب يعني يعمل مداخلة. فدكتور علاء حضرتك unmute.
اوكي شكرا.
كريم خليك معايا، ممكن تعمل unmute لو في حد طالب يعمل unmute. Ashwin, please go ahead. We are ready to listen to you. Welcome on board. This team, as you can see, we are reaching 188 and more people are coming. And we would like to listen or to hear from you what are the requirement for ranking of the universities and what should universities focus on. And I'll do some translation because Zoom didn't help us today to do simultaneous translation. So I will do it after you talk, or I'll try to type. So please, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Ala. And it's a pleasure to speak to all of you today on a very important topic, which is quality. And I think I would like to take that further and add the word quality assurance there to it, because I think that's what all of us in our every day-to-day life want to ensure, is that we get something which has a quality mark on it. Now, and quality assurance in higher education has got various ways at which we can look at it. And I think we are deliberately talking about quality assurance in higher education today because of a very important stakeholder, which is the student. And it is to ensure that the student is able to get the quality of service which is promised, and we can maintain the standards of education delivery right from every aspect of the institution into right from when the student comes in and when they graduate out. So I think that's what is important to think about when you think of quality assurance, is who is the stakeholder. And I think primarily it is your students. And I think while we're looking at students, there is also the other stakeholders like the parents. You'll have the local, the governing, the government or the governing council. You will have your funders. If it's a private university, you'll have your board of governors. So everyone is interested to know how you're performing, and that's why quality assurance is so very important. And I think I'm not here today to tell you that rankings is the best quality assurance mechanism, because I think when we look at the history of quality assurance, it started way back with accreditation, right in the US, when students wanted to take loans. And the accreditation system was built in such a way that students who wanted to take loans, or institutions which wanted to enroll students, and those students needed to get financial support, needed to be accredited or pass the minimum standards. That has moved on today into a much transnational concept, where we're looking at students trying to come and study in Egypt, trying to study in Jordan, in many other countries, where they would like to know how is the quality of an institution. So I think the quality assurance mechanism covers accreditation, covers rankings, and particularly ratings, which are provided from organizations like QS with QS stars, or even the quality assurance QAA in the UK. So all of these put together give a feeling, or at least are able to promote both academic and non-academic services in terms of the quality of service. and definitely promotes transparency and accountability in the system. Now let's focus on rankings. But before that, what would you, and I think all of you are involved in some kind of a quality assurance system. Now there are 4 steps for any quality assurance system. Now you can use rankings in any one of them. You can use ratings in any one of them, or you can use accreditation in any one of them. The first most important is setting your strategic objectives on what you want to become. And that is really important. And most of the institutions which I see don't have this clear on what is the strategic objective of the institution in the sense of what do they want to be after 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and so on. Now, I've seen that some of the governments are setting these objectives now for the country, for the institutions. And that's important is even if you're a private or a public institution, you need to set those objectives. And how are you going to monitor them is put some benchmarks on what do you want, or some KPIs on what do you want to get at, because you might say you want to be the best, but what are you going to be the best in? Are you going to be using a ranking to measure that? Are you going to be using a rating to measure that? And what is the rank are you looking for? So first is strategic objectives. Second is performance measurement using these objectives. So looking at the ranking which you follow and which you think measures what you, how are you performing? Okay, so constant measurement is required. And the third is comparing the outcomes, what come out of the institution, the graduate employability, the rankings, and the whole system, and comparing them against the benchmarks and seeing whether those benchmarks are being met and how far are you from. And the fourth step is either you achieve it or you start all over again by calibrating those important objectives and benchmarks. Now, it is not a one-time process. And a lot of institutions come to us and me say, well, you know, I'm a university which is 20 years in age or whatever it is. I'm a young institution. I want to be in the ranking in the next few months. It may be that you might be. It may be you might not be, because the stepping stone is that you need to get your important your first few building blocks right. And I think with university rankings, one core difference between a ranking and an accreditation is that rankings are based on relativity. That means whoever scores the highest, either it's in a world ranking, in a QS perspective, I think I would always ask institutions to aspire to be the best regionally first, because that is where you can learn from your colleagues, you can learn from people in the region and move ahead in the rankings. So definitely looking at how people perform. So when we release the top 100 list, people say, why aren't we in the ranking? Because you aren't relatively good in the top 100, which is released, or the top 1,000 in the world, and hence you will need to work harder. That's why those 4 steps are very, very important. Now, that's about quality assurance, about how do you use it. Now, when we come to QS rankings, I'm sure you might have heard of QS rankings. You might have either submitted data previously. You might have worked with us in some way. Now, with the Arab region ranking, we have developed a system which looks at the region's importance, looks at what are the challenges in the region, and what are the opportunities the region has for the next 10 years to achieve important visions. And I'm not sure whether, and you could probably tell me if your country has a vision. I know of 4 countries that have set a vision for 2030, Saudi, UAE, Oman, and Qatar. Now, I know the ministers have been talking in Egypt of you don't want to get Egypt to the next level, make it a knowledge powerhouse. But I think that vision is very important to have. And what each of these countries want is an X number of universities in the top 100. Okay. So coming back to the ranking, come back to the Arab region rankings, this is a great way to measure your performance locally first, and then aim to be good internationally. So in the Arab region ranking, and any institution which qualifies in the Arab region ranking with either having both undergraduate and postgraduate courses, so that's the most important, is to qualify in the Arab region ranking, you need to have both undergraduate and postgraduate courses. Second, you need to be a multidisciplinary institution. So if you are only a university offering medical programs or engineering programs, you would not qualify in Arab region rank. Okay. Now that is because this is a wide ranking. It covers all types of institutions. So we classify 5 subject areas. Okay. And if you remember this, I'll be happy to share a PPT slide later for you to, or some notes for you. One is arts and humanities, engineering and technology, life sciences and medicine, social sciences and management, and natural sciences. So there are 5 broad faculty areas. What we want institutions is to have at least
Sorry, Ashwin, can you say them again, Ashwin? So I'm typing in Arabic, please.
Okay, arts and humanities.
Okay.
Engineering and technology.
Okay.
Life sciences and medicine.
Okay.
Social sciences and management.
Okay.
And natural sciences.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, please carry on. Yeah, you can carry on. Yeah.
Sorry, I just unmuted myself for a second.
Oh, no worries. I got them. I wrote them already. I typed them.
Okay. So these are the 5 broad faculty areas. So you need to offer both undergraduate and postgraduate, and you need to at least have 2 of these broad 5 faculty areas. Now, once you qualify for this, you can submit data. Rankings has no charge, absolutely. A lot of people in universities ask me, can we appoint an agent to submit data for us? Well, I say the ranking should reflect the reality of your institution. So the data is extremely simple. If you qualify in these 2 indicators and you believe you are a university which is producing a decent amount of research, of course, you have graduates which are going out and are being employable, and you have a good number of faculty, you basically are a university which is interested in quality. That's again coming to the point, is the quality is important. So if you believe you're good in all these areas, you can go ahead and submit data. And there is no guarantee though that you'll be ranked, because it is based on relativity. Now, of course, you can come to us and have a discussion. Why I'm not ranked? How could we support you in terms of, you feel that there is no research data for you. So you can go back and work on those components. Now, one of the health warnings of rankings is that there are 2 health warnings. Like, if you smoke cigarette, you always have a health warning. So there are 2 health warnings. One is that there is no right ranking system. Okay, it all depends on what your perspective is. How do you feature in each ranking? Now, if you're looking at the top 3 rankings in the world, and I think I can proudly say that QS is one of them. There is Times Higher Education, and there is Shanghai Jiao Tong University rankings. Now, each of the rankings, you have to look at the parameters of them. I will briefly explain QS, but if you're looking at Shanghai, it is purely a research-driven university rankings. The focus is on extreme excellence in research. Do you have field medalists? Do you have an Nobel laureates? What kind of an impact are you doing in research in the top few percent in the world? So definitely that is meant for perhaps researchers looking where they're going to go and do their postdoc, or they're looking where are they going to find their next high impact job, or so on. So that is a focused university ranking, which is looking at research impact. The THE one has got, I think, very comparable to QS, looks at different areas, looks at also industry income. QS doesn't look at industry income. But one of the area which I think, again, that has got a good mix of research. So if you're looking to do research collaborations, people will generally look at THE rankings. And I think now students are also looking at THE rankings. But it is a strong research favored ranking setup.
QS as well, much like THE, is almost, I mean, shares the same kind of feelings, but we have something which is really important for academia, is the employability of the students. How do you, and that's really at the heart of what we do, is how do we measure that, and how do we get employers to be part of the ranking system, to tell us their views on which is the best university for them. Now, the famous statistician George Box, late George Box, said that essentially all models are wrong, but some are useful. So that's exactly what it is. I'm not going to tell you that QS is the best one for you. You need to look at your strategic. Again, those 4 elements I mentioned are important. Is your in the university aligned with this ranking in the strategic objectives? And do you want to follow this? If yes, then yes, you should follow it and take it forward, right? So there is no right ranking model, but there are only useful ranking models. So there could be a useful or a non-useful one, okay? The second one is the rankings are the outcomes of what you do and definitely not the goal of what you're doing. So while you are going on those 4 important elements, the steps and stages, you have to always remember that the outcome is not the result of the ranking, but what is happening at the institution. Okay, so the indicators in the Arab region ranking, and I'll just quickly, because I know we have a limitation of time as well here. So the Arab region ranking covers several indicators, and the first indicator is academic reputation, having a weight of 30%. And we'll touch upon this if we have a little bit more time, but academic reputation 30%, employer reputation 20%. Now 50% of the ranking methodology is based on reputation. The 30% is from academia. It showcases strongly what do academics feel about subjects in their area and in their country, and also internationally. So it is it's academic opinion. The employer reputation 20% also is based on opinion, but from employers. So people could complain that, well, this is based on opinion, it's not perfect. But again, the whole point is there is no perfect ranking system in the world. There are only useful models. Okay, so that's my health warning there. The next one is faculty-student ratio, which has a weight of 15%. I get asked this question, the weight is 15%, but what should be the ideal score? There is no ideal score, because the institution which has the best faculty-student ratio in the Arab region, and I think it is, I can't remember which institution was it, was about 6 students to 1 faculty member. Okay, now this is the institutional ratio. People ask me in the world, what is the best ratio? Now, if I was at Caltech has a 1 faculty to 2 students ratio. Okay, there is a medical school in the US which has 4 faculty members to 1 student. Okay, if you would like to see which is that institution, you should visit topuniversities.com, look at the world ranking and sort it out by faculty-student ratio, and you'll see which are the top institutions there. Okay, so that's faculty. So every year, whoever gets the best ratio would be scaled at 100, because we use relative grading, and everybody else is scaled down. The next most important for the region, in Arab region ranking, is the International Research Network, is measuring how many collaborations you have outside of your country. So it's important in this world today to collaborate internationally. So we measure that. We used to measure, we still measure web impact at 5% from Webometrics, because traditionally in Scopus, there is definitely less amount of Arabic papers. That is overcome right now with Scopus adding more Arabic papers inside. So that is this I think is a short-term indicator. So 5% for web impact from Webometrics. The other 2 indicators are 5% each again. It is papers per faculty. Okay, papers per faculty in Scopus over the last 5 years, and how many citations those papers have generated over the last 6 years. Okay, again from Scopus. So 10% for very strong research. But the International Research Network also looks at Scopus. So I would say it's about 20% for hardcore research in the Arab region ranking. Finally, 3 more indicators. Faculty with PhD has a weight of 5%, which looks at what's the proportion of staff or faculty who have a PhD or a terminal degree. Higher the percentage, better will be the score for you. And proportion of international faculty in the institution has a weight of 2.5%, and proportion of international students has a weight of 2.5%. So you can see these indicators here put together support the Arab region. They might not be perfect. I'm happy to, there are several recordings available online if you want to learn about which are the best or which are the best Arab institutions, and you want to learn more of the methodology is also available online. You can join some of my sessions I do. But the takeaway from this is that you need to look at what are your strategic objectives. If you're looking to be a world-class institution or a regional best institution, reputation is important. I mean, you can say, well, reputation is subjective, but if you want to do a program, you want to collaborate, you will definitely first look at which institution has better reputation, and it will, and you'll ask your friends, you'll ask somebody else, what do you think of this institution? So reputation is important, and it is expert reputation here. Employer reputation is important, which measures what employers want and how do employers see the students coming in or the candidates coming in from universities, and a good mix of research, internationalization, and so on. So with that, I think I'm almost at 15 minutes, Dr. Ala, so I think I've been able to take you to a short journey here. The end of it would be for you to look at these results every year. Don't look at short term, because rankings are not short term, they are long term. And accreditations and ratings, for that matter, provide you with some minimum benchmarks you need to follow. That's most important. Whereas rankings allows you to aim for the sky. Okay, there is no limit. Okay, you can go as high as you want in that one. So yes.
Thank you very much, Ashwin. You really enlightened us, and you are amazing. I mean, you just in a few minutes you managed to tell us the whole story. I know I wasn't able to catch everything, but I captured the main points and I typed them in Arabic immediately, so it's there in the chat. But also, I will also have a chat with them, and I will reinforce the message that you delivered, especially about the long-term planning and the priorities and the linkage between the universities and the vision. I mean, the university's vision and the governments and the national agenda. I'll speak in Arabic now. أنا طبعا يا جماعة إن شاء الله هعمل ملخص برضو للدكتور أشوين قاله. أنا كتبت يعني ما استطعت إن أنا ألحق أطبعه بسرعة هنا بالعربي، ولكن هعمل لكم ملخص أيضا خلال النهاردة يعني قبل ما نخلص. وهفتح بس المجال سؤالين 3 بالكتير لأنه أشوين مستعجل، وهكون معاكم أنا ملم بالمواضيع دي برضو. معانا برضو دكتور علاء عبد الباري لو في أسئلة تتعلق بهذا الموضوع. Ashwin, do you have time for 2-3 questions?
Sure, I'll definitely be happy to take questions.
Please لو في حد عنده سؤال محدد في موضوع التصنيف محدد يرفع ايده ويقول لنا ايه السؤال او يكتبه في الشات لو حد عنده سؤال لدكتور أشوين فرنانديس. دكتورة فاطمة اتفضلي. فاطمة أحمد اتفضلي. You can speak in English, Dr. Fatma, if you wish.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I would like to ask the professor a question. In your own point of view, to what extent graduates of Arab region faculties or universities are expected to be employable in the European or American universities? And why? Why this is measured like that?
If I get your question right, you're asking about employability?
Yes, I'm asking to what extent, if you are, for example, you are going to employ some of the graduates of the one of the universities of the Arab region, to what extent are you going to expected to employ them, and why? How many of them you can recruit them? and why?
You mean as QS, you're saying, or generally?
Generally speaking.
Yeah. So I think that's an important question, because I think if you want your graduates to be employable everywhere, I think if you know there's a recent
I mean
study.
Graduates of the Arab region universities. Okay.
Yes. Yes. So
the
for
degree
them
of
to
their
be,
employability outside their own region.
Indeed, indeed. And that's why rankings are so important, because when your student goes out to into anywhere else, let's look at outside the Arab region, and I can show you about 15 case studies of countries, of companies using rankings to do a first level filtration of the candidates they would hire, right? So that's so important today, because if a graduate from your university, and it might be the best university in where you're coming from, but somebody sitting in Canada or in Singapore doesn't know this university, the first filter they'll apply is this graduate? He might have great skills, he might have everything ready, but before even they meet them, they would like, and you can't verify the skills till you meet them, right? So you will apply the filter of, or I know companies applying the filter of what's the rank of the graduate's university, and then they invite them back into an interview. So definitely to increase chances, and there's a very good study done by Dr. Amr Adli, the former Deputy Minister of Egypt, which gives a clear correlation between graduates who are going from top ranked institutions abroad being highly employable and being highly sought. So that's what I think my comment is.
Thank you أشوين. شكرا فاطمة. فاطمة سألت على يعني توظيف الخريجين العرب واستخدام الرانكينج في عملية التوظيف. هو النقطة اللي هطلع بيها دلوقتي، وبعدين هنتكلم بعد لما أشوين يخلص انه كتير من الجهات بتعتمد على الرانكينج بتاع الجامعة اللي الخريج طالع منها علشان يوظفوه. أنا الدكتور عمرو عدلي أعتقد من وزارة التعليم في مصر عامل دراسة بتربط بين نسبة التوظيف وفرص والرانكينج بتاع الجامعة. There are two quick questions here, Ashwin. Someone asking about the colleges. Are colleges entitled to be ranked? الكليات ممكن تدخل في ranking?
If they fulfill the two criteria, plus they award their own degrees. That's what I forgot. Okay. There should be degree granting. They can apply for the ranking.
اوكي. السؤال كان عن الكليات، هل يمكن ان الكليات تدخل في الرانكينج؟ الاجابه ايوه، اذا كان بتقدر الكليه تدي الديجري الخاصه بتاعتها. There is another question from Dr. Raif Al-Ghouri about the military colleges. Are also they can enter the ranking?
Absolutely, any kind of colleges. So we have the Dubai Police Academy, which it's qualified to be in the ranking, but they're not ranked because they have to work on research. But any kind of institution can apply.
تمام. الإجابة إنه أي نوع من المؤسسات التعليمية سواء كانت دفاع أو غيره، وطبعا يعني يشمل هذا المؤسسات الطبية اللي بتدي شهادات طبية، بس طالما الشهادة تكون طالعة من عندها وتستوفي المتطلبات بتاعة الرانكينج. How can the university contact with their graduate students? Okay, the university should answer this question, not QS, but I'm just sharing the question. Ashwin, you any insights?
Well, I think this is the question a lot of universities ask us. Is that the thing is, you need to fix your alumni system, and you should be able to reach out to them on LinkedIn. A lot of universities are doing that, so it's important to have an alumni connect.
I'm laughing. أنا بضحك لأنه أنا شخصيا واجهت السؤال ده كتير، وأنا يعني بشتغل في الQS أيضا. دي مشكلة الجامعات، هي لازم يكون عندها داتابيز ابديتد وتتابع الناس الخريجين بتوعها. طب لو ما تابعتهمش تروح تدور عليهم على لينكدين وتدور عليهم على الفيسبوك، ودي مسؤولية الجامعات وليست الQS أو أي جهة أخرى. دكتور علاء، أنا عارف حضرتك عايز تسأل سؤال هنا، أنا هرجع لحضرتك بس مش شايفك دلوقتي. هل لازلت موجود أو عايز تسأل السؤال؟ طيب هناخد الدكتورة عايشة من ليبيا. اتفضلي دكتورة عايشة ناصر.
Yeah, hello. Thanks a lot for your nice presentation. Just I would like to ask, who is eligible to both this system of ranking or models of ranking?
You mean من الكلية يعني في الجامعة مين اللي
No, I mean a Shanghai or this QS. Who is eligible to put a ranking system like this?
Anybody
and is it
can.
possible? Okay, this is my question. I mean, for example, a union of Arabic universities. Is it possible to put another model of ranking depending on our situation?
That's a very good question there, Aisha. The Arab Association of Universities, led by Amr Salama right now, is looking at having an Arab region ranking as well. But again, the challenge with a lot of institutions is that there is always a best model somebody would like to do, but it's not practical. So we are talking to Dr. Amr Salama, the association. So it would be good to have another ranking by the Arab Association, but stops nobody from doing a ranking starting a ranking agency. The point is if that ranking is recognized afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can, yeah.
دكتور عايشه من ليبيا سالت دكتور اشون اذا في رانكينج عربي او مين اللي بيحط الرانكينج، فهو قال لها انه في مبادره حاليا مع دكتور عمرو عزت سلامه رئيس اتحاد الجامعات العربيه انه يبقى في رانكينج، والموضوع انه مش المشكله في الرانكينج، ممكن اي حد يعمل رانكينج، لكن مدى الاعتراف بالرانكينج ده هو ده السؤال. دكتور علاء عبد الباري، بروفيسور علاء عبد الباري، please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Dr. علاء. Good afternoon, Ashwin. How are you? I'm Alaa Abdel Bari, President of Arab Academy. We meet twice again. Ashwin, I ask you about two parts in the ranking. Number one, about the academic repetition. About the academic repetition, all people voting for most of universities in random, and how to calculate it. As example, I vote to 10 universities. I select 10 universities other than my university. If I select the first one, take the same grade as the second, the third, and so on, it is equally weighted. This is number one. Number two, about the parameter of international cooperation. International cooperation, how to calculate it? I think you calculate it from Scopus cooperation between researchers from different countries, different regions, like this. I ask you about the patents, the prototype, the products as example. Most of vaccine now for COVID-19 comes from universities. It is a big effort, and I think it is a good thing to calculate and to evaluate more than the academic research. By the way, after you finish, I have a 30 minutes presentation, one slide about the products of research. In quick كده, I prefer to 5 B's. 5 B's. B number one is publication. Second one is projects. Number 3 is patent. Number 4 is prototype. Number 5 is products. And I think all big universities, especially in the United States, constrain in the last one, which is the products and which is impact in the market. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Professor Ala, for your comments. So the first question of yours was in the survey. So there is no hierarchy or order in the institutions. Each one of them gets an equal vote whenever you vote for them. However, if you are in Egypt and you vote for somebody in Jordan or UAE, they would get 8 times more weight for the vote that you make them than what you would do for an institution in Egypt itself. So there is an international weightage of 8 times applied for any international vote, which is applied. Secondly, in the International Research Network, we are looking at Scopus. We are looking at collaboration coming out of papers and journals in Scopus over the last 5 years, and which countries are represented there. So the condition is more institutions plus more countries equals to better score. You can have many universities, but less countries, lesser score. So it is important that you do both of them. It's important. We are at the moment not picking up patent data because it's not integrated with the research data what is provided by Elsevier. But definitely it's something which I will take back and I will evaluate because we've heard this a couple of times, and hopefully in the future we should be able to use the patent data. I mean, I like your idea of product, because I think and I think that's where what happens is all the brains of the world go into the US, and then they have the best there for them to do these things, and everyone coming from, and that's a really important point, because internationalization is so important for any institution, and US is no better place, better internationalized than anywhere else in the world. So I think coming off those brains together, they know what to do, how to do it. They bring different problems from different parts of the world, and that's why it gets solved. And the product which comes in the market, as you said, is a highlight. So I think valid point again, Professor Ala. I'm glad you mentioned it.
Thank you.
Thank you أشوين. جماعة السؤال هو كان دكتور علاء بيسأل على براءات الاختراع، وبيسأل برضه على التصويت بالنسبة للأعضاء هيئة التدريس، ودي نقطة يمكن الدكتور علاء هيستفيد فيها في الشرح لما نخلص. فعلشان نكسب وقت بس هناخد كمان سؤال من الأستاذ محمد إبراهيم. اتفضل مستر محمد. Thank you أشوين for answering the question. أخ محمد إبراهيم اتفضل.
انا مع دكتور علاء، انا محمد مصطفى.
دكتور محمد ازيك؟ ما انا مصطفى وابراهيم عملت لي لخبطه.
الفاميلي نيم
Dr. Ashwin, I don't know you didn't meet before. This is Dr. Muhammad Mustafa. He's the vice president of Masr University for Science and Technology, which recently got the 5 stars online.
Online, yes. I haven't met Dr. Muhammad.
Now we are
how are
meeting.
you? I just want to say hello to all of you and to Mr. Ashwin. And I'd like also to thank Mr. Ashwin for his patience and his support and understanding during the whole evaluation process for evaluating Masr University for Science and Technology. Actually, I don't have a question, and I just want to say hello.
لزملائنا معانا هنا دكتور محمد مصطفى، هو نائب رئيس جامعة مصر للعلوم والتكنولوجيا ماست، وهو متخصص في الجينيتكس والبايوتكنولوجي. وجامعة مصر للعلوم والتكنولوجيا مؤخرا حصلوا على تصنيف ال5 نجوم للتعليم الإلكتروني، وأيضا أخذوا ال4 نجوم للجامعة ككل يعني في الريتنج. طبعا الريتنج غير الرانكينج، هنتكلم فيها بعدين، بس دي نقطة للتوضيح. شكرا على المداخلة يا دكتور محمد. شكرا لسعادتك. شكرا جزيلا. I will stop here. So I want to honor my commitment to Ashwin that will not take much of his time. Thank you very much, Dr. Ashwin Fernandes. It was really a pleasure and very generous from you to join us today. And I'll get back to you with some suggestions as well. And thank you very much.
Please, thank you so much. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I've just put the link in the chat there, so whoever has any questions.
دكتور أشوين هيحط اللينك بتاعه على لينكدين يا جماعة، اللي حابب يتواصل معاه يقدر يتواصل معاه مباشرة. Thank you very much, and we really should give you a big clap for this time. And I know it's almost 11 o'clock in the evening now. Thank you.
It's a guy's pleasure. I'll just stay on and hear Dr. Ala for a while.
Lovely.